Hi, my name is Jay Wilson. I'm the lead designer on Diablo 3, and you're watching tvgree.pl. We have no intention to make any changes to the graphical style for the game. We're very confident in kind of the current direction. We expected a little bit of kind of pushback on the art style. We, making the choice we made was not a one done kind of flippantly. We actually went through probably 2 or 3 full revisions of the art style. The previous ones that we threw out were darker, grayer, browner, grittier.
How many classes are there going to be in the game?
There's going to be 5 classes total. 2 that we've announced, obviously, the Barbarian and the Witch Doctor. And our general philosophy with classes is we originally were not going to bring back any classes from the original Diablo or Diablo 2. But we, as we were developing, we found that the Barbarian was kind of the one exception that we really wanted a class that kind of played like him, because we felt like as a class we had a lot of room to grow and there was a lot more things we could do with him. Whereas some of the other classes we looked at and said, it's a great class and the gameplay is great, but we can't make them a ton better. So we'd rather kind of explore a different idea that can create some new gameplay so that Diablo 3 will be able to stand on its own compared to the other projects.
So the Barbarian will be the only one who comes back from Diablo 2?
Yeah, he's the only literal returning class. There are some classes where the archetypes are similar, but for the most part, not for the most part, he is the only actual returning class.
See, and will there be any new multiplayer modes? I mean, something different than it used to be?
Well, the core of our multiplayer is still focused on cooperative play and where people can kind of drop in and drop out. Long term, we do want to formalize kind of how we do competitive play. In the original Diablo and Diablo 2, PvP was just kind of a switch people turned on, and there was no real formal support for it. So that's something we want to change, but we have not exactly decided how we're going to do that.
There's a word of new version of Battle.net coming up with achievements and everything.
Yeah, we do have a new version of Battle.net that is being developed for both StarCraft 2 and Diablo 3. They'll be unveiling it, I think, in the near future. I'm not sure exactly when. We want the new Battle.net to provide the best online experience that players can find in gaming. We have the best fan base in the world, and nothing but good things happen when we get them together and give them a lot of power to communicate with one another, find one another, and play games together.
What's the overall structure of the game? Is it essentially the same as it was in Diablo 2? I mean, you have a town, you have area transitions and everything.
Overall, the structure is very similar. We have 4 acts. Those acts are roughly the same length as Diablo 2. At least we're targeting roughly the same length. There are some differences. We use the waypoint system similar to Diablo 2, but we've made some changes to it. One of the big ones is we've added a new kind of waypoint called a checkpoint, which is not visualized within the world, but when you hit it, you kind of get a message, and then that's a place you can always return to, whatever your last kind of checkpoint you hit. So it makes it kind of easier to return to different spots in the world, because checkpoints are generally more frequent than waypoints. So we also are probably going to change how town portaling works, but we haven't decided exactly how. It was a bit of a cheap tactic in Diablo 2. It allowed people to kind of walk out of any fight that they was going badly, and we really don't want that. We want a little bit more tension in the fights. So we're probably going to change some little details like that, but there'll be minor changes. We'll still have a way to go back to town easily and to sell loot and things like that. There's other changes, like not every act has a central town. And sometimes it starts with a central town, but that changes, mainly because we want a world that just feels more alive. We really want to improve the feeling of Diablo 3 being a role-playing game. So, if we want demons to overrun the town and burn it down, that wasn't really an option in Diablo 2, the way the game was set up, but that's an option for us. We can do that and then transplant you to a new town. So, those are things that might change and kind of be little surprises throughout the game. They were trying to do anything they could to kind of throw people off the scent, and say, oh, well, maybe it's a StarCraft thing, it looks kind of like crystal, or maybe it's a Wrath thing because it looks kind of like ice. A lot of the times the question we get is, how are you guys going to bring Diablo back? We killed him.